They say time heals all wounds, which is a blessing and a curse. Some wounds are mental and most people would rather forget. However, the scarring, disturbing, upsetting things that most folks do their best to repress are often ideas and actions and monsters that horror fans want forever stored in their memory tanks. Some horror movie monsters become instant icons, impossible to forget thanks to their popularity, the marketing efforts of the filmmakers, or maybe just because they're unexplainably special. These are the exceptions though, not the rules. Like I said last time, there are just too many horror movies out there, and remembering all of the terrific and terrifying creatures is a tall order for anyone but a savant. And I don't know you guys, but I am not exactly a flashcard carrying trivia expert. I pray at the church of Wikipedia. I praise the gods of film blogs. Through these daily acts of horror movie faith, I bring you another list of beasts you might have let slip through your fine mesh sieve that is your brain. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host Keegan Hughes, and today we're counting down another top 5 scariest forgotten horror movie monsters, part 2. Before we cannonball into the deep end of monster movie lore, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more hidden hideousness. Fantastic, let's get started. Coming in at number 5, Pumpkinhead from Pumpkinhead. For a horror icon with more than 3 movies and a comic book series, it seems like not many regular movie-going folk know who this is. Michael Myers. Oh yeah, he's a Halloween guy. Freddy, Jason, Claws and Mask. I forget what movies though. Pumpkinhead. Wasn't he in Halloween Town 2? Calabar's Revenge? Maybe it's a lack of recent attention, maybe it's just a monster with the word pumpkin doesn't seem that scary to most people. Either way, with the resurgence of spooky season among non-horror fans, you'd think that Pumpkinhead would be the perfect Halloween movie. But hey, being relegated to the niche cult classic bin isn't always a bad thing. This demon of vengeance takes on many forms, all of which are referred to as Pumpkinhead. There are a few rules, like needing to be unearthed by a witch and requiring the blood of someone hell-bent on the revenge to get going. In the first Pumpkinhead flick, we meet 2 versions of the Ed Harley familiar with the demon, the Ed child, who watches someone get killed by the demon after his folks lock the poor victim out, and the Ed adult, who seeks out the bloodthirsty beast to take revenge on the teens who killed his son. As the demon embodies their conjurer's hatred, it tends to be a brutal, unsentimental mass murderer. In fact, this bloodthirsty attitude seems to have the bulbous beast enjoy the act of killing, even seeming upset when he's unable to attack random bystanders. Plus, Pumpkinhead won't stop until revenge is 100% taken, or if the summoner willingly decides to die. I'm not sure what would happen if it succeeded in bringing swift, painful vengeance to all involved. It seems that every time the summoner takes the fall. And then that summoner becomes the next Pumpkinhead. Or maybe Pumpkinhead is a son, like in Pumpkinhead 2, where an orphan is brought back to life by a blind witch. I don't really know. The rules are actually kind of hazy surrounding how Pumpkinhead undergoes genesis. Maybe that's why less people know what exactly is going on. It's the confusion factor. Although that hasn't stopped folks from sticking by Jason as he gains and loses family members and kills for immortality. Maybe that's not it after all. I don't know. Coming in at number 4, we've got Graboids from Tremors. I'm gonna take some flack for this one. I can feel it already. Yes, I know there were 2 straight-to-home video Tremors movies in the last 5 years. Yes, I know the Graboids are insanely iconic, with entire etymological classifications dedicated to their hypothetical existence. Neither of these things can change the fact that the mainstream popularity of Tremors has fallen off in the past couple decades. Okay, now that I've finished preemptively covering my ass, let's talk sandworms. First appearing in Tremors in 1990, these Dune-inspired subterranean slitherers are wicked cool, but if you ever ask anybody if they knew what a graboid was, there's a 50-50 chance they'll think you're talking about Yonoid, the red man-rabbit thing. Ugh. The undulating undergrounders can be up to 30 feet long and 6 feet across. Being that large makes it quite easy for them to cause a whole lot of mayhem. Blasting through brick walls, toppling trailers, dragging full-size cars along without breaking a sweat, these are some worms you do not want to come face to face with. Living underground, they have adapted to a dark and dirty lifestyle. No eyes, don't need them. Thick skin, impervious to all but the most powerful weapons. Big ol' beak pushing dirt away from their weird face-hugger mouth. Plus, they got tentacles. This actually acted as a sort of red herring of sorts early on, where folks on the surface thought the prehensile probes were actually the monsters themselves. Equipped with toothy mouths, it's no surprise people started calling them Graboids, after they grabbed people. Very creative. And of course, what would a monster be without some transformations? Plenty of phases in this worm's life cycle. Pre-Graboid, we have dirt dragons, which are basically just little grub versions of the real thing, just squished down. More dangerous are the post-progressions, shriekers and ass blasters. Eventually, a Graboid will develop legs and become bipedal. Bad news for all the above ground prey out there. Thankfully, the two-legged freaks are still deaf, leaving them to rely on thermal signals for hunting. Then, after shrieking for a little bit, they start ass blasting. And they're not just called this because it's funny. These ones emit chemicals from their posterior that can combust, sending them high up into the air to glide around on their newly developed wings. These things just get more and more dangerous, huh? Coming in at number 3, Triffids from Day of the Triffids. If I had to guess why these killer plants aren't as popular today as they once were, it would probably have to do with the watered down ending we got in the movie. Get it? Watered down? If you get it, please explain it to the rest of the really confused folks down in the comments. There are some major differences between the book and the movie, and of course we're talking movie monsters today. So I'm gonna focus on the 1962 version of the flick because each subsequent remake got a little less enjoyable. To me, anyway. They're still wicked scary on the screen though, but they just don't have the lasting appeal that the vine-whipping monstrosities had in writing. As movie monsters, the Triffids are killer plants from outer space. They appear to be intelligent predators walking around on their roots seeking out human prey. Using poison stingers at the end of whip-like vines, they kill and digest people left, right, and center. I think that's camera left, right, and center. We'll see. It really doesn't help humanity's chances that the meteor carrying these pernicious plants also blinded everyone who saw it fall. The Triffids then spread way faster than anyone could have anticipated, pushing humanity to the brink. It's an odd doomsday scenario, but not the most far-fetched we've seen. Plus, being hunted by plants is a terrifying prospect. Animals are one thing, as they're sapient, but plants? All they know how to do is lay roots and photosynthesize. How are they killing us? Embarrassing display in 1962 Britain. Honestly, back in the day, this had some sway in the pop culture conversation. Even Rocky Horror had to sneak a line about Jeanette Scott fighting a Triffid, but it just seems that modern times have lessened the iconography of a hugely impactful science fiction freak. Coming in at number 2, Crawlers from The Descent. I didn't even realize these had a name until I looked it up. I'd always called them the cave things or the monsters. Crawlers fits though. The Descent is one of the best horror movies of the 2000s and doesn't really rely on these creatures for a good deal of its scares. The cave-based exploits are freaky enough by themselves, especially considering the total breach of trust that got our group underground. The secrets, the panic, the bad decisions, these are all what make The Descent so freaky. Fighting for survival in a cramped, unmapped cave system sounds like a nightmare even before we catch a glimpse of the crawlers. But oh boy, when we see the crawlers, things turn up to 11. These terrifying, pale cave people have adapted so well to their environment. There's a whole colony of these blind, slimy, grubby ghouls, and they're a lot more human than you'd like them to be. Plus, there are plenty of theories floating around concerning the origin of the cave dwellers. One of my favorites has to be that they're not even real. They're hallucinations that Sarah's having, visions born from her recent trauma. As she gets stuck between a literal rock and a hard place, her mind breaks, sending her into a psychotic spiral, seeing beasts, accidentally killing her friends. While this has not been confirmed or denied, it's interesting to think about. The crawlers do make a return, even uglier and toothier than before in The Descent 2, but they don't add much to the fascinating lore of the first. It feels more like a long deleted scene than anything. Maybe because the crawlers were so featureless, so Smeagol-esque, people have a hard time getting them stuck in their brains. However, this is a call to action. If you haven't seen The Descent in a while, now's the time to revisit it. And finally, number 1, Sam from Extro. Is the alien creature in this one called Extro? I actually don't remember. I feel like it never actually gets a name like in-universe beyond the actual name of the abductee, Sam. Let me know if I'm going crazy. Maybe it is just called Extra. This low-budget Bridget sci-fi horror is an insane cross between E.T. and Alien with a healthy dose of toy horror filled in later on. We open on a man named Sam playing with his son only to be abducted by aliens in a flash of light. 3 years later he returns, but the way he returns is equal parts horrifying and mind-boggling. So the aliens drop off a horrible slimy humanoid thing that runs around on all fours, and it eats a couple people and then breaks into a cottage to impregnate a young woman. The seed germinates very quickly, leading to an extended swollen belly birthing sequence that produces none other than fully grown adult man Sam himself. Ugh. This alien Sam then kidnaps his son, moves back in with his wife and her new boyfriend, and starts imparting psychic powers on the young lad. The boy then starts using his powers to make murderous life-size versions of his toys, and things only get stranger from here. While the movie itself is pretty well into the so bad it's good category, the alien homecoming sequence is actually pretty terrifying. So terrifying in fact that one of the shots out of it has been used out of context in creepypastas and cryptid stories for years. The gray elongated humanoid prowling at the side of a dark country road as a car passes by is a haunting image, enough to fuel the collective nightmares on the internet for years. The clip became so popular that people would become terrified of it and have no idea of who or what Extra is. So I don't know if I would say Extra is forgotten or just misremembered. What do you think? How many of these spectral species do you remember? Have I introduced you to something new today? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more magnetic ones from top 5 scariest monsters from Norse mythology. Robert the Dude says the scariest fact about the Draugr is that they can use their shouts to disarm you from your legendary Daedric weapon, which will then get lost somewhere in the dungeon, forcing you to create a new one. Hey you're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into that Imperial ambush, same as us and that thief over there. James Vance asks, is there a country that doesn't have a good zombie tale? Well, I was gonna say Canada because our mythology is a little scrambled, but then I remembered Zombievers. The Greendale Witch says currently writing a novel about Ragnarok, wish me luck. Good luck, I can't wait to read it. Oh boy. Lemonhead420 says, imagine being that ferryman and waking up in heaven. Honestly, kind of a sick way to go. Better than waking up dead, that's for sure. And Darkin No Shinka says, big cuddly snake. I have no idea where you're getting cuddly from, but I'd also like to wish you luck on your quest to cuddle it. See you in the afterlife. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I step on a rusty nail and refuse the tetanus shot, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more oft forgotten freaks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.